Okay, everyone. Now we're just going to do the audio notes for Unit 3, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. I played a little trick on you and called it Unit 4. I'm getting the weeks and the units mixed up at the moment. I don't know about you, but things are getting very, very busy. So I've been off to see my therapist a few times recently, and she said to me, you always talk about yourself, Mark. And I said, can you stop referring to yourself? Can we talk about me a little bit more? She's kind of like that. And also, she said to me, Mark, you seem to have a preoccupation with vengeance. And I said, we'll see about that. So anyway, not going so well with the therapist so far. When things get busy, right? They get on top of you. So trying to help your progress is to do these audio notes. So segmentation, targeting, positioning. This is the last part, along with the IKEA case, on creating a strong brand. You are more likely to have a strong brand if you think like your customers, not about your customers. And there's no better way of doing that than understanding the different segments that you serve, right? The more you understand the types of different people that you serve and how they make decisions and the benefits they expect from the products and the services that you sell, then the stronger your brand is going to be. And obviously this enables you then to position yourself more effectively, which is what strong brands do all the time, right? Which is what we did in the last class, and the discussion, of course, that we've had about TELUS and creating a strong brand for TELUS as well. So the idea is of segmentation, targeting, positioning, really simply, as you all know, is that you are trying to find similarities between customers and maximize the differences between other segments of customers. So minimizing the differences between some customers and maximizing the differences between other customers so we can create unique segments. Once you've understood that, then you target individual segments or maybe most of the target markets, or create sub-brands like Kudo to serve a particular target market. And then you need to position that uniquely away from the competition based on something that is meaningful to the customer and based on something that you have as a core competency that you have. And that, in essence, is segmentation, targeting, positioning. Obviously, in your readings, there's a 5 or 6 page article from Harvard Business Review on the basics of segmentation, targeting, positioning. That's a great little primer for you as well. So again, this page here is really just about the idea that segmentation is about profiling each segment, maybe creating pictures of what represents that segment so they come alive a little bit more, enabling people to understand the types of people that are within that segment or types of businesses that are within that segment, and then deciding which of those segments or all of them you're going to target and how you're going to do that, and then the positioning exercise. So I think this is a wonderful example. This is an example. I was really trying to dig around and find real life examples. This one is a medical one, so kind of TELUS health related. This is patients with high blood pressure and their adherence or not to the medical regime. And the little pie chart in the middle shows the size of each segment. And then basically in the brackets, it tells you the percentage of people within that segment who adhere to their blood pressure medicine. So, for example, the biggest segment is the proactives, and they have the highest adherent rate. But also you've got a significant segment of 17%, the skeptics, who hardly adhere to that drug at all, right? But as a doctor, as a medical services company, knowing that and being able to tailor your messaging to each of those different segments or 2 or 3 of those segments, obviously can make a huge difference in terms of success of people administering and using that particular medicine in the right way. So I really like that practical example. The idea, of course, is that there are benefits for the organization and for the customer as well. Obviously, for an organization, it's better use of resources. Maybe it's not a great idea to target all of the segments. You're better designing your products and services for those unique segments, and so better use of resources, more profitable growth, a sharpened campaign in terms of how you communicate with those people as well. And then obviously there should be benefits for the customer, right? That you're tailoring products and services to them that suit them better. They're more likely to get a heightened sense of benefits from those particular products, and a more personalized experience because you're serving the right customers in the right particular way as well. How do you segment customers? So there are many different ways of segmenting the consumer market to begin with. Psychographics, behavioral, and benefits that people get from the products and services are very potent ways. A lot of people lean towards demographics and geographics, but they're usually a very simplistic way of thinking about your target markets. So again, that medical example that we gave earlier on, psychographics played a major role in that, right? What do they think about medicine? Do they trust doctors or distrust doctors, for example? Why do people use the products, for example? And what's their usage rate? I think always one of the most interesting things, when I was learning about marketing when I was a little lad playing in the fields a few years ago, was about Hellmann's mayonnaise. That 80% of Hellmann's mayonnaise is bought by 20% of customers, right? And I was like, wow, right? And as you know, for most organizations, the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle, plays a major role in marketing. That 80% of your customers usually 20% of your customers usually bring in 80% of your profits, right? And so on the behavioral side, it's which of our customers use our products the most, bring us in the most money, and that obviously is an important way of segmenting as well as the benefits that they get from it. Is it convenience, safety? Is it for the experience? The status symbol. What is it? Why are they using that particular product? And for the same products and services, they can have completely different reasons for using that particular product. In the B2B, very similar behavioral benefit sort. Rather than psychographics, it's more the buying approach. Is it centralized, decentralized? Is there a buying team, or is there one person who has the decision, as well as the obvious geographics and firmographics as well in terms of size of the industry, size of the firm, etc. Why, what, and who? So, that's really the three questions we're trying to ask, right? Why do customers make the decisions that they do? What needs do they have from the products and services? What preferences do they have? And what decision-making process do they go through? Is it a family decision? Is it one person in the family? From a firm perspective, are there particular people who are more likely to make the decision in organization than others? The what question is the usage, loyalty, profitability. Are there some customers who are more profitable, use it more, are more likely to stay with us and advocate for us because of their particular profile as well? And then obviously describing who our customers are. Where are they from? Are they from a particular business sector? Are they from particular regions? Is it particular firms of certain size that are more likely to be our customers than others? As well. And obviously these kind of questions are answered very differently depending on whether it's consumer or business market as well. I thought this was a really fun example. Millennials, they're a huge topic of discussion at universities. How do you coach millennials? How do you teach millennials? And here's, a bit like the Myers-Briggs. What we end up doing with millennials is kind of shoving them all into one basket, right? That all millennials are a pain in the bum. And that it's all about themselves, and that's true. No, it's not. So the segments of millennials, I think, is a really good insight into that even millennials are very different. Okay, you've got some where it's all about the sense of purpose, right? That it's about where I work and the contribution that I can make. And then there's anti-millennials who are very different from any other millennial out there as well, right? And they behave in completely opposite ways, right? And they don't believe that the millennial behavior is representative of their behavior as well. So I think it's another really good example of unpicking a group of people which everyone is basically lumped together, right? And it's like the Myers-Briggs, right? As soon as you label someone as an introvert and extrovert, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think this example kind of enables us to get away from that a little bit more as well. So Hillrom is a medical services company, a B2B medical services company, and they serve hospitals and medical institutions. And this example is that they have really two completely different types of customers. Their key customers, the most profitable customers, have a very different profile of their prime customers, which are, sort of the lower end of the market and spend less money with them, right? And their key customers, the nurses make the decisions. Patient satisfaction is a primary driver. You can read all of this as well, right? The products are high end, moderate. It's a replacement cycle is relatively short, so the high usage of these products, whereas the prime customers are very different. They're more price orientated. They're more about reliability. They don't replace these products very often, and so their decision making is usually by administrators rather than nurses. And so obviously how you would sell to this group would be very different to how you would sell to your key customers as well. But again, the idea is that if you understand how these different segments play out in terms of their behavior, you can do a better job of marketing to them as well. Ding dong seems the right thing to say at this point. I don't know why, I'm just trying to break up my audio. Selecting target markets. So, once you've segmented your market, do you go for all of those target markets? Do you choose one? Do you choose multiple? And then, so obviously, and this is very much like the sweet spot that we did in the residency, you're thinking very much about the idea, first of all, is that, from a customer point of view, can we serve this customer? Is that segment growing? Is it profitable? Is it going to be meaningful from a customer point of view for us to serve that particular segment? And then the competition, right? Is the competition, is there a lot of other companies serving that segment at the moment? Is it maybe neglected by other competitors? And even if it is neglected, what's the chances of other competitors coming in and taking away the possibilities within that segment as well? Are the other competitors have more resources than us as well? And then obviously company fit. So does it fit with our brand? Does it fit with our core competencies? Does it fit with the strategic direction of the company? And so basically, if you believe you're going to do a better job than the competition, it does fit with your brand and your resources, and the segment does have desirable characteristics, then obviously it looks like that will be a segment which is going to be a profitable segment for you in the long run. Again, as I mentioned earlier on, one way of selecting target markets and also understanding your segments is to basically minimize the difference between customers. So, for example, if you look at segment A, there's minimal differences between the major customers in there, but you're trying to maximize the differences between, for example, C and D. So there is actually a meaningful difference between those segments. You don't want them to overlap, because then obviously you're going to blur the lines between the benefits they want from these products. And then when you do choose to segment to these target markets, it's going to be a very difficult proposition positioning yourself, because there's going to be confusion as to which target market and which customers are actually desirable for you as well. Clustering analysis is the traditional way of coming up with those particular segments. This is an example of a preference-based segmentation for products. This is actually for a service company. I really like this because it basically highlights the difference in preferences for three very clear target markets. So you can see the orange one is a price-orientated segment, the blue one is a product-orientated segment, and one is more of a service-orientated segment, right? So look at the look at the orange lines on price, for example, that the preferences are delivery time, price, the training that they get, and the technical documentation. Whereas the companies that are more interested on the service side, they want quality rather than focused on price. You can see the green bar is deviated a lot more from the fact that price is a major issue. They want customization more as well, and technical documentation is really important. So actually, for the just to clarify, for the price segment market, they want less training and less technical documentation than the other segments. Okay, I didn't make that clear. Whereas for the service-orientated segment, they want more training and more technical documentation as well, and that's how they differentiate themselves. But I really like that example because it's very much about preferences that each of the three groups have, and obviously you would tailor your marketing and your products and your services very differently to all three, right? The product base want customized, whereas the other two are less interested in customized, etc., etc. Positioning. So once you've decided on the segments that you believe exist in the market, and you've decided which ones to target, if maybe all of them, but maybe with a slightly different approach, you then position yourself away from the competition. So this is absolutely critical. Can we find a unique spot in the marketplace? And as Alango did with you, I think, and probably Roy as well. There are really only three different ways of competing, right? Customer intimacy, the third R, relationships, as being your prominent way of differentiating yourself, or maybe you want to differentiate yourself predominantly on the first R, reliability, which is the operational excellence, like FedEx and Walmart, for example, which, Walmart clearly downplayed the last R on relationships, or product leadership, right? Are you going to be the innovator, always coming out with new products, always leading the way? But that means you're not competing on price so much, right? So like a Walmart, for example, and obviously Apple and Intel are probably good examples in that. Now, a lot of people get confused when we talk about this. They think, well, but Apple are good at the customer intimacy bit as well, and they're good operationally. That doesn't mean that you're horrible at the other two, right? It just means that you've clearly decided that your number one strategic priority is in that particular domain, right? And that's how you're going to lead the way. That's how you're going to position yourself in the customer's eyes on that particular attribute, because you can't position yourself on all three, because you can't resource-wise, and you can't anyway in the customer's eyes, because it would just become too confusing. So you've got to think very carefully about how we're going to make ourselves unique, and how we're going to differentiate ourselves based on everyone else who's in the marketplace already. And so really what I'm going to be asking you to do in the discussion forum this week is to think of examples of companies that you think are very clearly positioned away on one of these attributes compared to the competition. Which company do you know, or do you believe, whether it's a small business, medium size, large business, maybe it's a customer of TELUS or a supplier of TELUS, who are really positioning themselves away uniquely, probably because they understand their customer segments more than anyone else as well. So there you go. So the discussion, which brands do you think are differentiated? So that's going to be what we're going to be looking at for the week. We're going to think very carefully about, are there brands out there that are doing a better job than others, and can we learn from those particular brands? Is TELUS positioned uniquely? That's been part of our discussion. We've had that discussion a little bit, but that should be in the back of your minds. We're going to kind of look at best practice examples of companies that are really positioned uniquely in your opinion. So again, I threw in a couple of jokes at the beginning. Basically, I don't really want to teach this class. I don't really want to be a teacher, or really I just want to be a stand-up comedian, right? And people used to laugh at me when I said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now, are they? Thank you very much.